Last week's Omaha World Herald column on women being told to smile more in public stirred up quite a buzz on social media. I sat down with columnist Matthew Hansen to discuss what inspired him to explore this topic.
It actually kind of started a couple years ago. I was walking with my wife Sarah and one of our friends who's a female, and the friend started talking about a strange man that she had passed that day who had told her to smile and how it bothered her. I was surprised. I'd never heard of anything like that happening, and my wife and this friend both looked at me like I was a little bit insane, and they started telling me all the stories from their life about sort of random men telling them what to do with their faces. I thought that was interesting. I started asking women about it, coworkers, friends, and eventually strangers. It sort of, over the course of a couple years, became a little strange research project of mine and resulted in the column in last week's World Herald.
You've had over or roughly 100,000 people that have read this column. Tell me a little bit about what reaction has been like to the initial first column.
It's been really interesting, actually. I mean, the reaction that I most know is the reaction that's come into my email inbox. It's about close to 100 emails, and it's three groups. It's group one is women. Almost universally, the women who have written to me have written to say thanks, basically, for writing the column, and to tell me their stories, their own smile stories. The second group is men who I would say are men kind of like me, men who didn't realize that this was a thing. And then once they read my column, they started asking the women in their lives about this, and you know, it kind of opened their eyes a little bit. The third group, and actually by far the smallest group, was men who were angered by the column. These emails tended to be short.
And you have a second column coming out. Tell us a little bit about what we can expect from that.
Sure. It's basically a roundup of the reaction. I mean, I got so many good emails from people, both men and women, reacting to the column in different ways, telling me stories. It's heartening to see that as a columnist. I mean, so much of how we think about feedback is kind of, you know, Facebook feedback, kind of the cliched internet trolling. And there is some of that with this column, but there's also a lot of really interesting, thoughtful conversation. And I wanted to focus on that in a follow-up and really hopefully draw more people in to the conversation.
The second edition of Hansen's column on smiling will appear in tomorrow's edition of the Omaha World Herald.